Hello, once again. I am offering peace, love, and compassion to those who wish to be part of the space that's being created here. Offering this space for those things, and also to answer any impersonal questions. Hello, Erica. Just began another Facebook Live for the purpose of opening the space for peace, love, and compassion, and to answer any impersonal questions, inquiries about truth, love, self, things that matter, suffering, which is only of the mind. Right now, right here, without the believing in what you're thinking, is one actually suffering? How often are you actually suffering without being it a belief in a thought? Or usually it's a memory or the anxiety of the future. In every moment, there is love that is the life force that is supporting everything that is animate and inanimate. It is the infinite emptiness energized into unconditional love. Compassion is realizing the essence of oneself, which is a unified self. I have Vegas. Oh, this is Erica. I have Vegas issues. I know part of it is compassion and altruism related, but I'm still trying to flow with the physical manifestation of the Vegas. It's tricky. Are you talking about the vagus nerve, Erica? I'm guessing you're talking about your vagus nerve. Is that who you are? Are, are you actually suffering? Are you the one that is suffering that pain? Or is the pain itself an event and you're perceiving it with suffering? Hmm. Yes, I can see your messages. How do you feel when you think this thought about this vagus nerve? You don't need to answer that. Experience it. How do you feel? You don't need to type out the answer. That's what I mean. How do you feel with the thought that's connected to that pain? How do you feel? And who are you without the thought connected to that pain? Does the thought of the pain, does the thought or emotion or the feeling or the sensation even, does that identify you as a person or as a being? Is that the sole thing that defines that which you are? The suffering of a specific pain, is that holistically who you are? Contemplate that. Without needing to actually answer it in this moment. Does any pain, the suffering of any pain, or any single thought, or any cluster of thoughts, are they able to define you purely as who you are entirely? Welcome, Caitlin. The purpose of this live event is to bring awareness to compassion and to open the space for peace, love, and compassion, and to answer any impersonal questions. And at the moment I am addressing something that Erica brought up, and I'll repeat the answer. Hello, Anne. Again, the purpose of this Facebook Live is to open the space, the heart space, for peace, love, and compassion, and to answer any impersonal questions. And I welcome everyone who is part of this space, because I know that because this is happening and there are people watching and joining, that the space is being amplified. It's the subtle opening of something greater. Hello, Anne. Hello, Anne. I was speaking about how the sensations, images, thoughts, and feelings of pain, whether or not they define an individual, a country, or anything holistically. Do you go up to someone and say, hello, my name is Pain? Unless your parents named you Pain, in which your parents are just insane. Maybe it happened during the 60s. Or do we go around introducing ourselves saying, hello, my name is pneumonia, or hello, my name is the flu, Or hello, my name is, I grew up poor. No, we go and introduce ourselves normally by our what our parents name us, which also is a construct. Yet underneath and pervading that construct, what is there in the beingness of this now and this here? Investigate that because it is always now and it is always here. The compassion is realizing that essence, that the suffering is of the mind. The event itself, it can be painful, yet it's the perception of that pain. For example, some people get a tattoo and have this pain threshold in which the pain no longer exists and they can receive the tattoo. After the first 20 minutes, the rest of the tattoo can take another hour, an hour and a half, and there is no perception of pain, and therefore the suffering ceases to exist. And the same can be said for any suffering that has happened years ago, perhaps. And then you can pick any example of suffering, any example, and they're all, you can list them. There is no unique suffering. There's no new suffering. The suffering is always something that is taken on by the person, by the individual through thought and emotion and feeling, which are valid, yet the more that we perceive and focus on the suffering, it perpetuates itself and feeds itself in such a way that the body takes it on and we get diseases and we have to go and dig back deep, sometimes figuratively and sometimes literally dig back into what was the cause of that suffering and release it and allow the actual inner peace, love that is inherent in all things to manifest, blossom, and the fragrance touches the lives of others as compassion. And then there is silence, and there is stillness, and there is the return to that inherent peace without the conflict of the ego mind, body mind, infiltrating. Such a deeply rooted space. I'm trusting, Erica, that if you're still watching, that these words are resonating within the experience that we share. And again, Erica, I hear you. You are acknowledged in who you are. And it addition to the space being created, the peaceful, loving, compassionate space being created, there's an offering of a smiling face. Now, and for those who view this when it goes live on the newsfeed, or when it's posted to the newsfeed. And I was jokingly thinking earlier that perhaps thousands of years from now there may be a talking ape and Charlton Heston will say, get your hands off of my cell phone, you dirty ape. And the ape may be watching. Those are echoing remnants of a past life as a person who watched many a movie. One can also consider alleviating suffering and the relevance and importance of stillness in that. Likening it to an operating table. The physical form needs its pain to be alleviated. One must be still. The same goes for one when one needs to release the attachment of identity to thought. There is an advantage to being still, whether it's through meditation, prayer, contemplation. The beauty is that once the mind is recognized, it can be played with. You can let it roam. You can let it go wherever it pleases, yet knowing that at its core there is a stillness that is actually allowing the mind itself, which most may think it to be a hindrance, that simply recognizing it causes a bit of stillness itself. Take this moment in now to ask yourself, if you are thinking, what is that thought? And is it true? And how long does that thought last? And if it comes and goes within a field of consciousness, are you the thought? Or you're the field in which the thought occurs? And at an even more subtle level, beyond thought, all of the other things that are occurring, all the other form manifestations and all of the other subtle manifestations, where are those happening and when are those happening? Are they actually happening somewhere else or at some other time? A memory, is it actually happening somewhere else or at some other time? Contemplate. Contemplate. In your own heart, contemplate. And experience that being the contemplation itself and also how it feels and the beingness of that knowing. The greatest gift you can offer to the world is knowing thyself. That's when the bursting and the eruption of unconditional love travels, is established, and moves and resonates at a frequency that's attractive. Rather than repulsive. For some reason, there is an attraction to suffering. Perhaps it's the ego's way of sustaining itself, picking any thought, any concept, belief, to say, this is why I'm suffering. Well, I say, welcome to Amy. The purpose of this live event is for peace, love, and compassion, and to answer any impersonal questions. At the moment, I was speaking to the ego and how it fuels itself individually and in the microcosmic level and at the macrocosmic level through war by identifying oneself as a patriot of a nation, which is changing itself. Nations change. Any specific point of time on a square footage of land has gone through so many names, just as there are so many thoughts that have gone through the mind. And consider that a mind at war reflects the collective consciousness that is at war. Take care of the mind, have a peaceful, loving mind, have a peaceful, loving world, have a peaceful and loving body, a healthy body, a vibrant body, a thriving body, and then the disease will be affected and treated with a higher vibrational frequency that resonates with unconditional love. That even the choices of food that we eat will change. I think that answers a question that was asked earlier. Again, peace, love, and compassion. The opening and shared space of this Facebook Live gathering and beyond once it's posted. There is so much to be grateful for and so much beauty to experience because gratitude and beauty and love go hand in hand. It was Viktor Frankl who reminded us that, and paraphrasing and using an idea that he brought up in his book, Man's Search for Meaning, that even in his experience of being in the concentration camps during World War II, he was always able to find something beautiful. Hello, Jim asks, "What's up, David?" Hello, this is a space that's being provided for peace, love, and compassion, and also to bring wisdom to any impersonal inquiry, and to offer a smile. If you've yet to experience eye contact and a smile today, here, I offer it to you. Again, I'm refraining from personal engagement. Refraining from personal engagement. Because the purpose of this space is for love, peace, and compassion. Welcome those who are joining this room, this space, this infinite emptiness, energized by unconditional love. Mm. 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 Peace, love, and compassion. Mm. Amy inquired, how can we cope right now with the scariness of the current U.S. administration? Hmm. How do you feel when you think, when a thought arises from that infinite emptiness? How do you feel about those thoughts that arise? You have these images in your head that are there, that bring about sensations and feelings. And you can ask yourself, are those thoughts true? And also ask yourself, who am I at the core of my being without those thoughts? Who am I at the core of my being without those thoughts? And in this current now and this current here, where did those thoughts come from? And where will those thoughts go? And is that who I am? The imagination, which is also a form of thought, can extract any scenario for the future. And in the question, there is a scenario of fear, scariness, fear. Ask yourself, is that real, true, pure? Is it pure? Is it tangible? Or is there something underlying that is containing those images, thoughts, and those fears? Realize essence. What is the essence of who you are? Set aside those feelings in this moment and ask yourself, at the core of being, outside of the actual, even outside of the actual personal being, does that thought define the entirety of who I am? And does that thought define the entirety of the world, of the entire universe? Bringing oneself to that awareness, it opens up the mind, which is an illusion anyway, and it expands the heart to incorporate the unconditional love that infinite emptiness is offering energetically. And in that there is unity. You can observe the thought of suffering. You can observe the image. You can observe the sensation. You can observe, observe, observe anything. Fall into the more subtle level of who is the observer, and even into a more subtle level once the observer and the observed are recognized. Is there an actual substance or an actual individual separate thing that is even more subtle than the observer? Something to contemplate. And for all that is present, I offer gratitude. space of peace, the space of love, and the space of compassion. Offered energetically and coming from infinite emptiness. Amy, but what about taking action to stop the bad things happening to people? Does one need to get to that place to describe in order to take action in some kind? The world, the kingdom is within. A peaceful, loving, compassionate kingdom shines forth into the world as peace, love, and compassion. Therefore, there is one less person at war. That in and of itself becomes a light. It becomes a beacon. Rather than simply being a light, it's like the sun. The sun is light and warmth, yet it has this gravitational pull and this electromagnetic field at an electromagnetic level in which it resonates. And one of the reasons there is life on Earth is because the Earth and the sun share electromagnetic waves manifested as a beauty in the auroras that we see. Same with the heart here. You open up the love and the peace and the compassion here in this heart, and it shines. It shines. It's blinding. Yet, even those that are blind to it, just when you walk, like the same when you wake up in the morning and you open you're blind in the morning, you open your eyes and it takes a little while to get used to the sunlight. Same thing with those that may be coming at you with fear. If your heart is embedded in love, those that come at you with fear even, they will see that light and the fear and the hatred will subside. That is the action. The action comes from within. Then the duality drops. The person drops. You realize that there is only unity and that there is only life, and it's a unified life. Even before that, it is a unified universe. Oneness, unity. And then the situations of the collective consciousness, the world of being human, the perception is switched in such a way that all that one offers, one being an individual and the unified one right now, right here, is unconditional love. awareness is how that is practiced. The more aware that that love is here now, unconditionally offered, mercifully, graciously, as a blessing, then it is embedded, it's already embedded, and can be given and offered as a gift. And that gift can actually make its way into even the illusion of story to actually end the story positively, such that one moves without a story. One moves without history. And then there's a post-historic world of beingness, of constant realization of unity, in which even the consideration of war becomes obsolete. And again, when the planet is run by apes, no, I won't do that. And the actual action becomes right action. It becomes spontaneous, and it becomes fresh, and it becomes raw. Such that the situation, any situation, is offered up with unconditional love. And I welcome and say hello once again to Sydney for joining this space of peace, love, and compassion, and being with the wisdom and inquiry of impersonal, or the wisdom that can be offered through impersonal inquiry. And also to offer a warm smile. I welcome Jerry to this live Facebook event with the intention of opening up the space for peace, love, and compassion, and to offer wisdom to any impersonal inquiries. And as an offering of stillness and silence and a smile for those who wish to receive such thing. Our intention is to bring peace to the world, a peace that begins in the heart of each. Thank you for sharing. Why does the word impersonal make you laugh? Because the illusion of the ghost of person, there are echoes of what was once the belief, the attachment of the belief that there was a person, a David Henry Bro, a David H. Bro. And that being an illusion, that it never existed in the first place, and that life exists. And it's and also joy, laughing from joy, a very pure joy, laughing at to laugh for no reason, because of the expression of joy and the expression of peace and the expression of love. Laughing for no reason. And being grateful for no reason, because the gratitude is for everything. If it were for one reason, it'd be conditional gratitude. Just as if one can only love by discerning, if one can only discern and love certain things, it restricts the joy of loving unconditionally. Peace discovered within. It's there. It is the sustaining, subtle formlessness that is maintaining now and here. Without thought, without believing the thought that is happening, what is there? Contemplate, what is there without that thought? Does the world actually, or anything, disappear when that thought fades away and another one comes? Does time stop when a thought stops? Is there empty space when a thought leaves? Does it leave and then there's just all of a sudden empty space? There is still that beingness once that thought finishes, once the suffering finishes. What's there? Once the connection, the emotion with that thought happens and it fades, once you leave the operating table and you start walking and you're healed, there is still beingness. It pervades all in a unified field of consciousness, infinite consciousness. Because if the thought comes from somewhere, has a beginning, middle, and end, and goes somewhere, it is held by an infinite space. That is experiential and experienced in all that is offered, which is this now and this here. You are that, and I am that, we are that. This is all happening. Questions cease to exist, and there is only knowing left. Moving through this world with that knowing and being the beacon of light, shining, heart shining to all those that realize and recognize that light. And then the realization is that it's only a reflection of that which is within you and all things. Without separation. Mm. I am here. I am now. I am that. I am this which is. I am here. I am now. I am that offering of infinite unconditional love. That infinite offering of unconditional love. Resonating in all its infinite ways. Some seen, mostly unseen. Drop the story, and the suffering will cease. Stop the suffering, and the story will cease. Hmm. The greatest gift you can offer to the world is to know thyself first. If there is fear, any fear, any doubt, that will be carried with you into any situation. And there will be simply another person joining in on the fear and the doubt and the suffering. Same with hate. If there's any hate within, in offering into the collective consciousness, it will be an impure offering. Purify thyself by knowing thyself, such that the offering given into any situation is loving, peaceful, and compassionate. One can pick any example of suffering and consider a child laying on the streets of India alone, or someone who is holding a gun to their head right now. Somewhere in the world, someone is. Or someone who is laying on a table with cancer. Any suffering is suffering. Love, unconditional love, alleviates that suffering. The realization of essence. Now, we are given the now, we are given the here to realize essence. That is the nature of essence, to know itself. It is consciousness, conscientiously knowing itself. Or consciousness consciously knowing itself as an expression of unconditional love. Just as one who identifies themselves as a belief can pick any belief to suffer with, any belief. I have a thorn in my thumb, or I have a splinter in my shin, or we're on the brink of war. Any suffering is suffering because it is a thought that is married to an event. The event is independent of the thought. The perception of the event causes the suffering. Oftentimes is in the imagination. Ask yourself in this now, in this here, are you suffering any image or any event in this particular illusion of thought? Contemplate that. And where does that take you as you identify yourself with the mind? It takes you away from the peace and the love that is inherent and present as the life force offered energetically by the infinite awareness, the infinite consciousness, the infinite emptiness. Abide, be fulfilled, be whole as that infinite emptiness. Experience it. Experiment as it. Be it, because it is that which you are already. And the perception and the paradigm changes instantly like that. Because the instant is all there is. It sheds its light on the past, and it sheds its light. It sheds its light on the illusion of the past, and it sheds its light on the illusion of the future, thus bringing the awareness back to this present moment, the now and the here. And I welcome those who have joined this space this intentional space of peace, love, and compassion, and the sharing of wisdom for any impersonal inquiry, and to offer a smile, a peaceful space, a loving, warm, light space. Refraining from focusing on past or focusing on future, and then allowing this moment to blossom. A rose can only move towards the sun in order to blossom. If the rose moves away from the sun, it will never blossom. The more and more we allow unconditional love to move towards the light, the more the fragrance of compassion will enrapture, envelop, encapsulate, surround, permeate. If all those words are correct, sometimes the vocabulary is challenged. Why do some of us move away from the sun? It is a technique of the ego in order to survive. The ego only exists in ignorance, in darkness. And it has its hold temporarily, yet it can never overcome the actual life force of unconditional love. Though it may seem at times that it is or it does, the gift, the blessings, and the mercy allows the constant flow of unconditional love that permeates here and now. In this moment, one can ask themselves, are you aware? And in any moment, can you ask yourself, am I ever unaware? contemplate. When you ask yourself, am I aware? Where does the attention go? It goes into that awareness of being aware. Inwardly, at any point. You can be on a roller coaster at an amusement park and ask yourself, am I aware? And there's a space there that takes you into between that question and the answer, in which even the extreme circumstances of being on a roller coaster, there is still a shift in perception that is inward, even if it's momentary and maybe a half a second or a second. There is still that space. And that space itself is at the core of all things. It is that infinite emptiness that allows the actual consciousness to manifest. And all this is simply happening without its own label. The infinite emptiness labels no thing, because it's infinite. If it were to label anything, it would be finite. And those two terms are contradictory. A finite emptiness. Emptiness can only be infinite. And it's experiential. It is alive. It is not dead. It is not death. It is everlasting life, everlasting energy. Energy and matter do not die. They are simply transformed. In the same way that fear can be transformed into its core of love. Because fear is an illusion. Self as a personal self is the most common illusion. Believing that I am this body, I am the thoughts that I believe, I am the concepts that I cling to and that are offered by others, even though, and they themselves are part of the consciousness, they're not all of it. They're simply a portion of something far greater. And when that connection and the reliance on that ceases, this opens up, and this opens up into a much more vast experience. A unified experience. Sleep well. Hmm. Welcome, Mary. This There was an Amber Alert that came up. Send some positive energy to that individual. And I was saying, welcome, Mary. This space is being created for the amplification of that which is peaceful, that which is loving, and that which is compassionate. And at the same time, offering wisdom to any impersonal inquiries. And a smile. Because what is churning within as a life force, when it's perceived with awareness, then that is what is offered and enters into the conventional, I'm using this word in a conventional sense, that enters into the world. So your place in the world, even, is one of peace and love. If you're an orange in an orange bucket of oranges and someone squeezes you, you will. If you're squeezed by the outside world, you'll be orange juice because you are an orange. The same with the loving, peaceful individual. If anything tries to squeeze you in the world of other humans, all you offer is love and peace. If suffering tries to squeeze you, if war tries to squeeze you, all you offer is love and peace. That's the pure compassion. That is the purest compassion. Because the suffering, which oftentimes is shared through story, itself has a very subtle phantom way of trying to get you to not alleviate the suffering. And it's manifested simply through empathy and pity and charity even sometimes. But yet, at its purest sense, there is no entering into the tomb. There is only the shedding of sun, of light, of love, in which that individual or collective that is suffering can only be drawn to the attraction of the light. And in order to do that, the suffering cannot come along. You have to lay down the suffering in order to experience love, experience that light. Because the suffering is the identification with the thought of suffering. When you lay down the thought and you rest in peace before the body actually leaves and they put it on a gravestone, you rest in peace before the body dies. And that is what is offered, the love and the peace through the tool and the method of compassion. You leave the story behind. You simply accept the reality of here, now, and the present moment. You accept its perfection as the will of the universe. When that will is accepted, there is no fear, none whatsoever. And love knows no doubt. Compassion knows no doubt. They only know themselves, just as knowing thyself as those things is what the masters, mystics, saints, and sages of all discovered to be true and have passed that on to those who could hear, see, and listen. Hear and see and experience. Through that example, then you become the example. You become the beacon. You become the light. And you attract gravitationally and through presence, the electromagnetic method and phenomenon, simply being authentically unconditional love. And it's no distance. Because it is here, there's no distance involved whatsoever. And believing that it's something other than now, it creates that distance. And that creates time. Other than here, it creates distance and it creates time. Thinking that it will be another now before I, as an individual who connects with sensation, images, feelings, and thoughts, will get there with a different, through different sensations, images, feelings, and thoughts. When in actuality, it's already here now. Because there is no other here and now. And that is the unity and the oneness of this experience, of thisness, of isness, of beingness. And it's said in so many ways, in so many languages, in so many cultures. And since I am familiar with some of them, I use the example of the kingdom being within. It's vast, far beyond thought. It's a kingdom. Further than and vaster than understanding, even. Further and vasting than anything that the imagination can conceive. The imagination of the mind is unable to conceive the vastness of the kingdom. It is heartfelt, and it is experienced in kindness and joy, in peace, in love, in equanimity, and all the good things that are offered as a blessing, in the inherent grace that is permeating all things. It permeates it. It enables life to be. It is a space before life. It is a space that carries light. It is a space that allows light to travel at 186 miles per hour. It is a space that allows the sun to set. It is a space that allows a star to twinkle. It is a space that allows that starlight to reach you and create beauty. And at the core of all things, one is included in all things. And if that is at the core of all things, it is at the core of who you and I are. The unconditional love, the infinite inner peace, and the compassion to know that and to share that with others who are suffering. To realize the essence of oneself is to realize the essence of all things. And it flows, it is harmonious. It's like an orchestra playing a symphony. And I say, welcome to Ron, and to the space of love, peace, and compassion that is being offered through this technology on this cell phone, etc., etc. And also as a presence to offer wisdom to any inquiry, and to offer a still moment, a quiet moment, a peaceful moment. Welcome, Judith, as well, to this space of peace, love, and compassion that's being offered. Infinitely offered beyond these words, beyond this body, mind, beyond form. Welcome with open arms and open heart and open mind. And in this space, there is an offering of wisdom to any impersonal inquiries. there is gratitude offer for those sharing in this space. It creates a collective resonance which amplifies that which is pure. Spontaneous, and infinitely created instantly and simultaneously. The words are pointers. And in the silence, the experience happens. The silence is the answer. The words always point back to silence, regardless of any question. And in that silence, there is peace and love. Those timeless, formless qualities of being that only silence knows. And stillness knows. And emptiness knows. All this is happening. Hmm. This space is for peace, love, and compassion. And for the sharing of wisdom through impersonal inquiry. Hmm. The offering of stillness, the offering of knowing thyself, the offering of opportunity, and the recognition of that which is. Infinite emptiness, energized with unconditional love. Hmm. Facebook is live at the moment and shall be posted when finished. This is the space for peace, love, and compassion. This space is peace, love, and compassion. And it provides wisdom to impersonal questions. Wisdom can only be received through its knowing and through thoughtlessness. Through the experience. The attempt to understand wisdom through thought is futile. Infinitely futile. The sole way of knowing wisdom is through experience And then that which is within the heart is expressed through words and presence and through energy. The infinite energy, the energy that permeates all things, the energy that arises from, as from, and through infinite emptiness. Hmm. I thank you all for this sharing of space. It will finish, and this will be posted on Facebook for those who see it. They will see it and be able to do that. It be part of the happening. And again, I offer love and peace and compassion, gratitude, joy, equanimity to all, unconditionally, because this is that.